Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cybersecurity Meg, and as always, I'm super stoked that you're here. Today's video is sponsored by my favorite personal at-home anti-malware solution, which is Malwarebytes. So thank you so much to Malwarebytes for sponsoring today's video. What I want to talk to today, several things. Back to school, online safety, my personal traveling over to Europe and going backpacking for several months and how that all kind of wraps into online safety. So as you can see on my screen here, I have Malwarebytes Privacy VPN up, and I also have Malwarebytes Premium, which is their anti-malware solution app. So if you didn't know already and you haven't seen me online lately, it's because I am heading over to Europe for a few months. I'm going to be backpacking all throughout Europe. I'm starting to fly over to Spain in 2 days, and then I'm just going to backpack my little heart out to whatever countries that I'm most excited about, wherever the wind takes me. And the reason that I mention that is because I'm going to be bringing, of course, my personal computer with me, a MacBook Pro that I utilize, and having a VPN or a virtual private network to use while I'm backpacking through Europe and staying in hostels every night for 3 months is going to be imperative to my online safety, especially for someone who works in cybersecurity like I do and is sometimes doing or handling some more sensitive data, looking into more interesting things, if you will. So what I really love about Malwarebytes Privacy VPN is the GUI is so heckin' intuitive, guys. If you look at this here in the bottom left corner, the Malwarebytes Privacy VPN is just so easy to use as compared to the other VPNs that I've looked at where the GUIs are all messy. There's like 10 different buttons. It's kind of a bit more difficult to figure out. Literally, if you want to utilize the VPN, you just click on and you click off. So super simple. It's literally one touch. My favorite aspect of the Malwarebytes VPN is that it has no logs of what you're doing. So if you're familiar with cybersecurity in any capacity, you know how important it is to utilize a VPN service that is not logging your internet traffic. Unfortunately, there are several VPN service offerings out there that do keep logs of your VPNs, which is not ideal for anyone really when you're trying to uphold a certain state of privacy with your online traffic. What I also really love about Malwarebytes Privacy VPN is how quick it works. Usually or historically, when I was utilizing various other vendors' VPNs for at-home kind of internet usage, it lags so badly. It just slows down the traffic. Web pages are loading much slower. It's just not ideal for someone who's working with large amounts of data and doing kind of at-home lab projects like I am. So when I'm going to Europe in a couple of months, and I'm, like I mentioned, starting off in Spain, one of the things that will be really, really handy for me as a girl who loves Netflix and Hulu and just watches her heart out for online streaming shows is that with the Privacy VPN, what you can actually do is change the server that you're routing through so that you can access content still in the United States, which for me will be really helpful because if you're not aware, I used to live in Spain. And when I lived in Spain, I had a Spanish Netflix account. It could detect, what location you're at. You spend a certain amount of time in that kind of geolocation. And so a vast majority of the content that I was being served on Netflix in Spain was all in Spanish or Catalan. And your girl doesn't speak Spanish or Catalan. So what'll be really ideal for me while I'm traveling abroad for a couple of months is be able to choose the server through which I am accessing the VPN. And when I'm in Spain or I'm thinking about going to the Czech Republic, to Germany, to several other countries where I don't speak the language, it'll be really effective for me to be able to set the VPN server to locations in the United States. It'll also be really helpful when I'm trying to access bank accounts and whatnot, or really any kind of account that is going to take a look at where you're accessing from. I'm sure you're familiar with this. If you're trying to access an account from abroad and it's genuinely you, it's not a fraud attempt, but your bank account thinks it's a fraud attempt because they don't know that you're traveling abroad, then you get really frustrated and you have to call up your bank and be like, hey, no, this person trying to access my bank account from Spain is actually me. And then they allow you through, and that's just a really frustrating experience. But, all in all, the Malwarebytes Privacy VPN. It's just so easy to utilize. The GUI is top notch. It's so simple. Literally anyone can utilize it. And one of the things that I think it's going to be best for, in my professional opinion, in my personal opinion, as someone who has a very young nephew who's starting to go to school soon, is for any kind of parents or guardians, teachers that are overseeing kids who are going to be surfing the internet, right? We want to make sure that all the data is staying private and overall that our online digital health is staying really up to par. So beyond the Malwarebytes Privacy VPN, which I personally use, you're seeing the screen from my personal MacBook Pro, like I mentioned earlier. I also utilize Malwarebytes Premium. It is on a MacBook Pro, like I mentioned, so some of the features that are available on the premium version for Windows, like ransomware protection, aren't rolled out yet to MacBook Pros, or the operating system for Apple in general. So that's one thing to keep in mind. However, I am such a huge fan of Malwarebytes Premium at home for personal use. I think it is the best AV on the market for at home. And I've already made a video talking about this, but they've made a ton of updates recently. So one of the things, again, the GUI again for the premium version is just so simplified. It's so smooth, as you can see here. And they offer a dark version. There are so many antiviruses that don't offer a dark version, and it just ruins the entire user experience. So what I really enjoy about it, of course, you can go here, you can set your scans for wherever you want to customize having the scans done. Honestly, you're seeing a scan run right now. It takes like 15 seconds and it's not CPU intensive whatsoever, which is awesome. If you want to go back and look at the logs for your results on when you've run scans, whether it be manual or automatic, I love that it does keep logs so that you can go back historically and look at all the data for it. But if you wanted to delete all the logs, you can absolutely do that too. Like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite things about this is how unintensive this is on your CPU usage. So if you run a scan, historically, when I run a scan, the CPU usage doesn't top out at like over 5%, which is insane. When I compare competitors' products for at-home AV like this, it's so intensive on the CPU that if you're trying to do multiple things at once, it just is not ideal. It makes things lag. So that's definitely a big plus one for the premium version of Malwarebytes. Overall, I just want to talk about how I'm traveling, where I'll be out the next few months, and how I'm going to be utilizing Malwarebytes to keep safe while I'm online, because obviously working in cybersecurity, you see a lot of shady things. And so I'm acutely aware of how I need to keep my online safety first and foremost, especially while traveling. Staying in all of the hostels that I'll be staying at, if you're not familiar with what a hostel is, and typically, they're in Europe and Asia, whatnot. It's a big group of people who are from various walks of life, from multiple different countries. And instead of having, your own individual room like you would stay at in a hotel, you might have 10, 20 plus people staying in one big room where you have bunk beds and whatnot. And of course, they're all sharing a collective Wi-Fi. So utilizing a VPN while traveling and staying in these hostels where there will be multiple people also utilizing the same Wi-Fi around me, not knowing where I'm going to be connecting to, and being able to just lay in bed at the end of the day and watch my shows in the United States instead of having to watch shows in Spanish, which I won't understand, is going to be a fantastic experience. But also, namely with the Malwarebytes Premium, it'll be nice because if I'm surfing the web and accidentally click on something, it has URL filtering, it's going to keep me safe. It's going to know and look at what are the latest threats. It's going to identify them. It's not going to let me download malicious things from the internet or open malicious attachments in my emails. So as someone who's going to be traveling and in that very quick mindset of, let me just open things, I'm on the go, I'm sitting on a train or I'm sitting on the Interrail in Europe, that's going to be really helpful for me, because even as someone who's worked in cybersecurity for over 5 years now and has gone from entry level to being, a much more robust and well-rounded professional with my experience of working in cybersecurity, I too still tend to accidentally click on things way too quickly because it just becomes so mindless. And what I don't want while I'm traveling is for me to accidentally download something from an email, attachment, and then have a big issue while I'm traveling. That wouldn't be fun. But yes, I'm going to be traveling the next few months. Hopefully, I'll still be making some content while I'm traveling. And if you're heading back to school soon and you're watching this, definitely check out the Malwarebytes VPN as well as the premium. I have a discount code down below in the description box of the video. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.